Flyers lose this one in overtime to Toronto. Welcome into Postgame Live, presented by Curado Insurance. Al Morganti, Scott Hartnell, Ashlyn Sullivan here with you. A hard-earned point to get this overtime, but wow, crazy overtime. So much happened. That's a story in itself, but unfortunate when you played pretty disciplined all game long for Toronto to sneak back in, but we knew they had the capability to do that, Scott.
Yeah, close game. You kind of felt after that first period there's really nothing going on. Tocchet scores a goal in that early in that second period. It doesn't come out for the third. We're wondering what happened to Travis Konechny, but you just kind of had a feeling after that 5-on-3L, you have the chances, you have the zone time, nothing happens, and then obviously the script is written before Scott Laughton comes down and scores a shorty. Oh,
yeah. I mean, you get a point, but it would have been so sweet to do this with the injury situation you had coming in, missing Drysdale, missing Brink, and then TK going out. To be able to get 2 out of this would have been just terrific. But give Toronto and Laughton full marks for coming back in it.
Right, especially when you look at the capacity of this homestand. We talked about it in pregame, wanting to build off Tuesday. And I still think even with this loss, you're still building out because it was an overtime performance against Toronto, a team that's budding in the Eastern Conference, a sold-out crowd, over 19,000 people here. I think you'd be pleased overall with the performance you saw tonight.
Well, you certainly were entertained by the overtime.
Yeah.
It was just wild in the overtime. But again, the goaltending was strong again. But it would have been. I mean, you can say, yeah, we took the point and felt good about it. But boy, it was right there. It just to kind of hold on. And your power play didn't cash when you really had a huge opportunity in that third period.
Yeah, power play let you down tonight, right? It's 1-0. You have almost a minute, I think, of 5-on-3 stuff, and then another minute after that, 5-on-4. You miss a net. Scotty Laughton goes down and scores. So a little frustrating in that respect, but points to point, it's going to be huge down the road. But yeah, you would love to see it too, and especially Vladar. He played so good.
Right.
You'd love to see him cash that shutout in.
And this is when you think about this power play and you say, okay, when's it going to bite you? It bites you in games like this, and it's that 1 point difference when, if you can point to anything of what could have been better in this game, it is that power play, and that's where it starts sneaking up on you.
Yeah, you'll look back and be like, oh man, we had this opportunity. Even last game, 1 for 8 or whatever. Just to build momentum coming into this game. So frustrating that the power play can't get on track.
Yeah, 5-on-3, but actually 5-on-2.5. There was a broken stick there, but all kinds of effort there. But take the point and. The entertainment level of the overtime and the great goaltending.
Yes, and now it's time to check in with Brian Boucher atop here, the Xfinity Mobile Arena for the Toyota Corolla crossover boost, that overtime. Wow, so much going on, so many storylines. What stood out to you? A hard-earned point for the Flyers, but would have liked to have 2.
Yeah, the overtime was entertaining, that's for sure. We haven't seen a lot of those. They've been more calculated this year, but I think Hartsey said it. The power play had an opportunity to win you a hockey game, and they didn't do it. And that's a missed opportunity, huge. And Laughton goes down and scores a shorthanded goal. I know it's a point. You want to take the positive, but you got to be real with yourself and understand that the power play had a chance to put this thing away and did not. So. I think you got to take the good and the bad, learn from it. The power play's got to find a way to be difference makers, and tonight, unfortunately, they were not.
Boosh, I wanted to ask you, it's 1-0. Scotty Laughton had a heck of a game. The last guy, you don't want anyone to score, but the last guy you probably do want to score for the Toronto Maple Leafs is Scotty Laughton. He comes in there, epic shot there on Vladar, short side, blocker side. His game was exceptional. How was he received there when you were watching live?
Yeah, it was an exceptional shot, and I thought he was terrific tonight. I thought the crowd gave him a nice ovation there in the first TV timeout of the first period, recognizing what he did here in Philadelphia. But when he scored that goal, I heard a pretty good smattering of boos as well. But give him credit. I mean, he's fired. You know this feeling, Hartsey, right? When you go play your old team, you're jacked up to play. And I thought Laughton was great tonight, particularly on the penalty kill and in the face-off circle. I think he lost 1 face-off all night out of 18 or 19. Lotz is a great guy, and you're happy for him in that respect. I mean, unfortunately, it was at the Flyers' expense, and but give him, you got to tip your hat to him. I mean, he's shorthanded, goes down, gets it around wrist line and stick, and makes a perfect shot, and he ends up being a hero in this one.
Got to give him his flowers, that's for sure. Boosh, we'll see you on Saturday. Thanks so much for the time.
All right, guys.
Now it's time for our Granite Run Buick GMC play of the game. It is the end of this game. It is the overtime because this was the game. This was the opportunity for the Flyers. Look at all these chances. We're on the edge of our seat. Couldn't get it done, Scott.
Yeah, Easton Cowan, this is his breakaway that he had right before the 2-on-1 goal. Epic save there by Vladar. And then Yorkie puts it up to Coots. Here we go again, 2-on-1. Here's Michkov. Nice little pass over. It comes over the goaltender there, right to Coots. He can't find it. Unbelievable stuff. And then guess what happens?
2-on-1 the other way, coming in. Tavares sees his man over there. Ristolainen comes over to make the play, to a backhand pass, and there's that finishing goal, and that's what it was going to take to beat Vladar tonight. He played so terrific throughout.
I think of Michkov there, that shot there went off the post and then it hit the goalie there. So that's how close they come from getting those 2 points, right? And those points are valuable, right? They'll be, you know, I don't know, big time come April, but Easton Cowan there, a great shot there, the good patience that he had to stop that puck. Look where he's going to shoot. And look at the effort by these guys trying to score that goal, and unfortunately it goes the other way.
Probably 4 or 5 guys think they could have won it before he got one right there. Nightmare for the goaltenders, but I like overtimes like this when it looks like you took the coaches and kind of locked them away and just said, let's go play pond hockey.
I'm going out next, the guy
Right,
that
yeah,
goes.
there you
So,
go.
yeah,
No direction, but it was entertaining. Unfortunately for the Flyers, not 2 points. And now it's time for our game changer, brought to you by Sloan Automotive. We talked about it, Scott Laughton. A great opportunity for him to score against his former team, but this is the story first, is that Flyers 5-on-3, and it's a total waste of a power play, Al.
Yeah, 5-on-3. At this point, all 3 have their stick. But there was a sequence where it was literally 5 on 2.5 on a broken stick, and they had opportunities. They come in. You got to win faceoffs when you got that power play. You manage to get the puck out of the zone. That's half the battle for Toronto, to get it out. But man, they had opportunity after opportunity here with that 5. And here's the situation.
There's the stick. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got that, you have to go right at that man.
Yeah, and this is Michkov. I'm not sure if he realizes that guy has no stick. He's going to get this puck. He's going to go right at the defender. Bruce loved that. Beat him. Beat the guy with the stick. If he passed that right back door there, it's almost a tap-in, kind of where Zegras scored his 2 goals last game on Tuesday. But just didn't realize where he was in that situation. And there's talking about that right after that.
I thought it was the work that he had with him, and then it goes the other way. You're still there, and then Laughton coming flying down the zone here. This is a terrific play. He's got Ristolainen used as a screen as he's moving, and then takes the shot. I don't think Vladar really got a view of it because he just used Ristolainen perfectly as a screen.
And it's tricky, right? There was a guy driving the net, so he could chip that by Risto. So he's being a little cautious, kind of in between there. When it goes barn down like that, it's tough to say a bad play there, right? He makes a good shot, and look at how fired up Scotty Laughton was. It's tricky playing your old team. You think you should be in orange. All your buddies are still there except for a couple guys, right? And then he does that at the end of the game, 1-0 game to make it 1-1. Incredible stuff. I'm happy for Lottie, but I'll get you after the game, buddy.
One of those. Travis Konechny finally getting someone on the scoreboard here in Philadelphia. Second period, TK scores this goal, but of note, did not play in third period.
Yeah, he's the one that started that breakout all the way down by our goaltender, right? And it comes in here, dumped around, and there he is right in the slot, and a really quick release, Al. That's the tricky part for goaltenders, not being able to get set, find where that puck's going, and just a great release.
Yeah, and some kind of right there, there's Domi. You see him number 11 in white there, so you also have to deal with that stick as a goaltender, that shot seems like it's just, you don't think it's much, but it changes an awful lot of direction.
Yeah, and Christian Dvorak too, newly signed, a great pass there. Finding the guy, Sanheim was in the middle there. He was covered to get it all the way past him to a forward, a sniper. It goes in the net.
And it's nice to have that sniper for the whole 60 or longer.
Yeah, we're kind of confused what happened. Ashlyn, you interviewed him after the second period. How did he look?
Totally fine. I'm being accused that maybe I hurt him in the intermission.
You didn't.
I know, but we got in a fight. He was totally fine. So yeah, I think a little confused of what happened there in the third period because he seemed totally fine in that interview. But you got to think of this realistically for this weekend, not knowing what's going to happen here with Travis Konechny, no Jamie Drysdale, no Bobby Brink. All of a sudden, this Flyers bench is getting pretty short here, Al.
Yeah, I wouldn't think Brink or Drysdale would be back, at least from what it looked like in the hits that they took. So, I mean, it's worrisome coming in. That's why tonight would have been, I just look at this as a wasted opportunity with that power play to get through this. And then, because that's not, it's no small order what you've got coming up on the weekend. It's the same bunch of real winners in Tampa to 2 games in 3 nights.
It's going to be tricky, right? They come in here. Not many times you have a team stay in the same city, play them, have a day off, and then play them again the next day. It's kind of weird how it works, right? But they're a good team. They're hot right now. Flyers power play is very, very cold, so not a good combination. And with the guys out, like you said, Ashlyn, it's going to be a tricky one here for the Flyers, and it's going to check the depth of this system right now.
Especially TK, that would be an enormous loss if anything comes of that. But we really tried to search through to see, where the injury could have happened or whatever.
There was a puck in warm-up, you said,
warm-up,
right?
yeah, it was warm-up shot, but he looked fine afterwards and he had all his chiclets. And
Sure did. I checked, double-checked. But they say an upper body injury and did not play in the third period. So if we know, you will know. We will update you if we hear anything about that. But now let's go to the Flyers locker room to hear from Travis Sanheim.
Especially given you guys don't have Travis Konechny, how do you guys kind of reset and focus on trying to hold that down?
Just keep pushing along, next man up, and for the most part did a decent job. Unfortunate to give one up late and then obviously in overtime.
Travis, I guess, what's the degree of frustration with regards to the power play? Obviously you guys give them the short-handed goal, but it's down to the bottom of the league again, and it cost you tonight.
The other night against Anaheim, we had quite a few looks, quite a few shots. Just got to keep working away at it and keep trying to get better each day, and hope that we can start putting some in. Obviously, it's a big part of good teams and something that we obviously got to be better at.
As a captain, what kind of message can you give to the younger guys in the power play unit to help them stay confident?
I think just use your skill sets and the right reads, and we got good coaches in there that are good teachers, and take the knowledge that they're given and go and execute. That's the biggest thing right now is just execution, and I think we'll start to get better if we can continue to get working on it, and guys push to have a better power play.
Obviously, Dan Vladar over here. Dan the energy was a little bit different tonight than it was on Tuesday. How do you guys feel you kind of handled that?
Yeah, slow start, first couple, and then I thought started to find our legs. Had some good minutes there towards the end of the first, and there wasn't a whole lot going on from either side. I think the shots were pretty low on both ends, and Dan played well. It's just unfortunate that we didn't close out for him.
We are back here with the thrill of the game, brought to you by Universal Theme Parks, the exhibition at the Franklin Institute. Scott Laughton back here in Philadelphia. The first time he was playing, he was injured last time Toronto came to town, so his first game back, and definitely made his mark, but this was a pretty cool tribute.
12 years he was here.
Wild.
So definitely he left a mark in the community with his teammates, with the fans, everything. So he is one of the good guys, Al.
Yeah, we went down, talked to him with you before the game there, and he was all pumped up to play. But you could tell there's always a little bit of nerves going into it, and he was waiting for that opportunity. He made the most of it.
Yeah, especially your buddies, right, that you've chummed around with, the TKs, the Sanheims. He played a lot of years with those guys. Then you got to go hit them. You're not sure what to do. And then he did something at the end of the game and scored a goal, which I don't like, Lottie.
No, but Flyers get an overtime point. And at morning skate, it was funny. Laughton was talking about going against guys that you know so well, and it was pretty funny sound. Let's hear from it.
Yeah, he's a rat. He's a big time rat. So I'm sure he'll be chirping, but he can back it up for sure. He's a good player and really good friend. We grew very close with my time here, and he's a great human being. So yeah, he's about as big of a rat they come.
I learned from the best of Lottie. He's the biggest rat in the league. A lot of fun playing against him. Great teammate. We'll talk to him after we get a win.
Fortunately, the Flyers did not get the win, but great friends, Travis Konechny, Scott Laughton, and just funny to hear them chirping at each other, even through the camera. But before we interviewed Scott Laughton down at the Flyers locker room in the hallway, I saw the two of them hugging and talking. It's like you can tell what great friends they are. Yeah,
and TK right there looked like, he looked like he was going to come out for that third period, although he did get hit in that before the game, the skate before the game, so maybe it swelled up on him.
Yeah, face looks a little swollen for being scientific, but hey, I don't know. We're not doctors, but we'll let you know if we find out something as we go back to the Flyers locker room to hear from Dan Vladar.
That looked like it was pretty hectic. Overtime, what did you see on the game winner?
I thought Aristo made a nice play sliding down. Then Sasser, I thought the sauce was slow, so I had time to get there. Maybe I overslid it a little bit, open up that far side for him, and good shot. But I thought maybe could have done a better job of moving there with my feet, and maybe I would have had a better chance of stopping the puck.
We are back here with our GMC Performance Player of the Game, Dan Vladar. Once again, you feel for him, playing excellent in this game. Doesn't get the 2 points to show for it, and I don't know what really he could have done differently in overtime.
Well, yeah, overtime is one thing, but yeah, shorthanded goal, you hate to see those, especially late in games, in a tight game where you buttoned up everything defensively, in front of the net. Look at the kick pass, save there as well, and then just unfortunate how it ended up the last 6-7 minutes.
Yeah, and of course the ultimate teammate. He plays as well as he does, and then he says, well, I could have moved my feet this way. But what more could you have done? Basically almost perfect on the night, and perfect shot that beat you, and then that nuts overtime, which any goaltender is you're just at the mercy of almost anything in that overtime.
And once again, this is the standard that we've seen from Dan Vladar, right? It's like, oh, we're not shocked. Oh my God, what a save, or what a performance, and all this kind of stuff. It's just like, yeah, ho hum, nice job, got us.
Good game.
Yeah.
Bummer
Go get 2 goals, we'll win.
Yeah, that's normally what you think. A bummer for Dan Vladar not to get those 2 points. So we head downstairs to hear from Rick Tocchet.
A couple other bodies. Do you view this as just a potential test to evaluate, see if you fill in?
Yeah, no, it's true. That's the depth is going to get challenged. Stay with the structure, things like that. That's really next man up mentality. You guys hear it all the time, but it's true.
You overtime, Rick. It seemed like it started to get up and down, which can happen in overtime. How do you think the finish was?
You convert. Who converts wins. We've had 3 or 4 chances we didn't convert. They had the one. They score. That's it.
How do you evaluate the way Grabenkin played tonight?
Played hard. Played really hard. He's he was moving his feet. He had a lot of motion tonight. Thought he played really well.
Tippett didn't score, but what did you think of the ways he was staying engaged and pushing opportunities?
Yeah, I think the last 2-3 weeks I've liked his game, skating well. I don't know what he played, but playing him in different situations because we were down a guy. So he can log those minutes. I think he's playing well, skating well at least.
Heading into the second half of the season, what's your degree of concern about the power play?
Yeah. A little, like it's it was good last game in the sense of we're just missing. There's reads there that I think the best to describe it, the 5-on-3. They had 2 guys on one side, and if we make one pass, somebody would have been wide open. But we're looking for plays instead of organically playing. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. You can you want to roll and all that stuff, but sometimes a team will just be all in. They had a guy with no stick, and we had the puck on the other side. That's a hard one for me to swallow because you want the puck on the side of the guy with the no stick, right? You want to pick on him, but we had the puck on the other side. So I don't know if it's the pressure and with the power play. Sometimes I think guys are squeezing it so much, but we need some guys to kind of understand the pressure and convert, right? And look for and understand if they have 2 up. Like we had 2 up, we go to tip, he took it right to the net, he almost scores. That's it. If they give you that same look, do it again. Don't do something different. Whatever they're giving you, take. And I think we're looking for something else when we should be looking for that play. If they have 1 guy back or 2 guys back and 1 guy up, then you want to do a high roll play and then you shoot. So we had 2 guys at the point, they didn't move their feet. And then it's easy for those guys to block the shot. So this is the stuff that we're just trying to preach. Hopefully these reps in January, February, hopefully in February, March, those pressure situations will understand it.
I guess with regards to that, do you see it as the problem being, guys not being connected? I know you've used that before, or is that I'm thinking back to the Flyers in the 2010s. Everybody knew that Claude Giroux drove that power play, and they looked to him. Are you guys lacking that one guy that everyone's looking to? Is that the problem?
I don't know. I mean, you can't. Not everybody has a Jack Eichel or Nathan McKinnon, but you can 5 guys if everybody does their job. You can have a good power play. And so we're at that stage, right? But, like I said, I mean, overall, though, coming off the road, emotional against Anaheim. We had, we were up 1-0, 4 minutes left. I mean, obviously, I think wish Sandy can't miss the net on that one. That you have to hit the net or at least take a little bit off. We had people go in the net and they score that goal. I thought we had the game locked in. Not saying that the power play, I know we got to score there, and even the 3-on-3, we had a couple of 2-on-1s. We had a breakaway. I still think the guys played hard. I mean, that's a hard game to play. Second, coming off the road, emotional and stuff. So I give them a lot of credit. Yeah, the special stuff, yeah. Do you wish some guys converted? Yeah. But overall, the team game, even Tocchet going down, we had a short bench. The Brinker out, Dreisy out. I think got to give guys credit. They hung in there. So I will take the positive of that for sure. Okay, guys.